Ever feel like you're living in a bubble? Like you've got neighbors just steps away, but it still feels kind of isolating.
Yeah,
That's what we're diving into today, their whole world of neighborhood dynamics,
I love it.
why those connections can feel so strained these days,
Right.
but also what makes for a really thriving community.
Absolutely.
And get this, we're going to try to give you some actual takeaways, things you can actually use.
Yes. Practical advice. That's what we need. It's so funny because it's such a universal experience, right? This whole,
Totally.
like, navigating that balance between your own life
Yeah.
and the community right outside your door.
Yeah, and we always hear about, like, oh, back in the day, everyone knew their neighbors, but things have changed.
Yeah.
Our sources are pointing to some pretty significant shifts. Like, first off, time crunches.
Oh, tell me about it.
Everyone's juggling work, family. I mean, it's like a constant go, go, go.
It's true. And, on top of that, it's not just about finding the time, right? It's also about, like, bridging the gaps. I mean, think about it. Our cities are more diverse than ever,
Diverse.
which is amazing.
Yeah,
But it also means we're all navigating different cultural norms,
totally.
different languages, backgrounds. And so
Yeah.
making those initial connections
It's tricky.
can be a little trickier for sure.
It's like that one study we were looking at about the impact of like shared interests
Yes.
on how connected people feel.
It's huge, right?
It's huge. Just having a hobby in common
Yeah,
can make a huge difference.
totally.
So like maybe those weekend pottery classes are more important than we thought, huh?
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting, right? Because yes, we've got all these challenges,
Mm-hmm.
but the benefits of having those strong neighborhood ties, they're incredible. We're not just talking about
Right.
borrowing a cup of sugar. Although, I mean, hey, that's nice too.
Hey, sometimes you just need that sugar.
You really do.
But our sources are highlighting some big stuff, like actual tangible benefits. This one study found that strong neighborhood connections actually lead to a greater sense of belonging,
Of course.
shared responsibility.
Absolutely.
People are more likely to actually get involved in their community, support local businesses,
Yes.
even just like look out for each other.
Exactly. It's like turning that shared space into an actual shared experience,
Totally.
And there was like this fascinating example in one of the sources about this neighborhood in Spain, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
They started a community garden project.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just about, growing tomatoes together,
Right.
brought people together, but it also led to a decrease in crime,
Wow.
like vandalism, petty theft, all that.
That's wild.
It's amazing how powerful a little green space can be, right?
That's incredible. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we cultivate that sense of community
Right.
with all the craziness of life, the different backgrounds, everything?
Well, it might sound too simple, but I think a lot of it starts with those small, intentional actions. Just a smile, a good morning can go such a long way. One of the sources even suggested, like, offering to grab your neighbor's mail
Oh, yeah.
while they're out of town, or just being like, hey, want to join me for a walk? Those tiny things can open the door
Totally.
to more meaningful connections later on.
And for those of us who, maybe aren't ready to jump right into a face-to-face,
Introverts unite.
exactly, there's tech for that now.
There is.
We've got apps specifically designed for neighborhoods.
I love it.
Think of it like a digital bulletin board,
Oh, that's cool.
Share local news, organize events, or just be like, hey, anyone have an onion I can borrow?
Yes. That's great.
No awkward small talk required.
I love that. And don't forget about the power of shared experiences either. Think outside the, traditional block party box,
Okay, yeah.
The sources we looked at talked a lot about tapping into those common threads, right?
Right.
But doing it in a fun, engaging way. So maybe it's a neighborhood potluck, but everyone brings a dish that reflects their heritage.
Ooh, I love that.
Or a board game night, or even just like a monthly dog walk.
Right. It doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing.
Exactly. Just something to bring people together.
So it sounds like even with our crazy schedules, strong neighborhoods are possible. It's just, it takes a little effort, a little intentionality.
It really does. It's not about like a complete life overhaul. It's about those small, meaningful connections. And I think that's really the heart of it all. In a world that feels so disconnected,
It does.
what small steps can you take like this week
Right.
to cultivate that feeling of belonging right where you are?
That's a great question to leave everyone with. That's definitely something to think about. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, folks. Remember, even the tiniest ripple can create a wave. So get out there and make some waves.